Hey friends, this is the Mrs. Wolfie from our half acre homestead, and while it's a busy weekend, I'm going to make a soup for supper tonight, and probably there's going to be some left over, so I'm going to can it in the pressure canner. But what we're going to make is borscht, and I have not had borscht since I was a little girl. And what we're going to start with, borscht is a Hungarian, Romanian, Russian, Siberian kind of soup. And its basic ingredients are beets, carrots, onions, and potatoes. Okay, I'm going to add other things because there are as many borscht recipes as there are people who eat them. So, first we're going to start off with 24 cups of water in a stock pot, and I'm going to use about a half cup to 1 cup of my homemade powdered bouillon. This has no chemicals in it. This was made without any MSG or anything. Maybe the only thing in it is a bit of salt. So we're going to throw this in. I think, half a cup will do of this, because it's not as strong as the OXO. And we're just going to whisk this into 24 cups of cold water. Turn it on to simmer. All right. Then I'm going to start the vegetable prep. All right. For this, you're going to need approximately 2 bunches of beets, a small cabbage, 2 onions, a small bunch of carrots, garlic, salt, pepper. You know the drill. All right, I'll meet you guys at the table. So I went to the market today, to the organic market. I got 2 nice big bunches of beets, and we are going to use the tops, not the stems, but the beets and the tops, or at least the good tops. A small head of cabbage, one or 2 cloves of garlic, 3 onions, 3 carrots, and I think I'm going to start with the cabbage and the carrots and the onions and everything, because I'm going to leave the beets for last because they're going to get messy. All right, we'll be right back. Let's start with the onions and the garlic. Cut up our onions and get them sauteing in a little bit of olive oil and our garlic, and then we're going to start on the rest of the vegetables. You can crush the garlic or mince the garlic if you want, but I like nice pieces of garlic. I'm sorry folks, my eyes are just streaming from these onions. Now if I had been thinking, I would have popped them in the freezer for an hour, and that helps them from squirting juice at you when you're cutting them up. Garlic's really good for you folks. If you've got a head cold and you don't want to use medicine, try first off, if you don't have a neti pot's a wonderful thing. But if you don't have a neti pot, try grinding up a clove of garlic, spreading it with mixing it with a half a teaspoon of butter, spreading it on a saltine cracker, and pop it in your mouth and eat it really fast. That will get your nose just a-running if it's plugged. We're going to take our carrots, and you can dice them if you like, but the carrots and the beets I'm going to grate. And I'm going to shred the cabbage, and I'm going to dice the potatoes. And all it does is gives you some nice different textures in your soup. I ended up finishing these carrots by dicing them because they're a little limp. And they've been in my fridge for a bit. But limp carrots are okay, especially if they're just going into soup. Don't waste it, folks. Use it up. All right, let's just get our carrots in here, and we're just going to give these guys a quick saute with the onions. Then we're going to pop them in our broth. And once they're in our broth, we're going to do the same with the beets, but we're going to saute the beets separately. We just want these to sweat a little bit before we get them into the broth. All right, we've sauteed the garlic and the onions and the carrots just lightly, just to get them, their juices flowing. All right, and now I'm going to go and I'm going to do the beets. Here we got a couple of bunches of organic beets. And what we're going to do is we're going to start, first off, we're going to cut the stems off. Now, we don't use the stems in borscht. We use the beets and we use the leaves, but the stems are really tough. But we're going to go cut the heads off of these, because like I said, I'm making a nice big pot. We're going to cut the tops off of these, and we're going to go through them, and we're going to pick out the best of the leaves, and we're going to put the worst aside, and how we can give them to the goats. Now, what a lot of people don't know is that things like turnip greens and beet greens are highly full of vitamins, and they're really good for you, and they're very edible. I mean, people throw them away, and I know there's a bunch of you out there. I can just hear, you know, some of my friends out there shaking their heads going, oh no, you never throw out the turnip greens. Mm-hmm. But you know what? A lot of people do. They look at them as garbage. And what they are is the green part of the vegetable, which is really highly desirable. Okay, these are the ones that I'm going to use in the soup. And Wolfie's going to take the rest of the stalks and leaves out to the goats. So let's just cut these woody stems off because they are woody. And we'll put them in the bag, and the goats are going to have a wonderful treat. Now we're just going to finely chop up the beet greens. We want these kind of finely chopped. You want the shreds of leaves in there, but you don't want great big leaves on your spoon, right? Now, we're going to peel the beets. Now normally when you're eating beets, you leave this much stalk and the skins on. You cook them and then peel them. But these are going into the soup raw. Well, not raw. I'm going to saute them, but we're not boiling them first. They're going to get boiled in the soup. I've got my beets all ground up here, and we're just going to give these a light saute. Chunks. Now while these are sauteing, I'm going to clean off my cutting board, and I'm going to cut up the cabbage and the potatoes. I almost forgot our beet greens. Let's put those right in the pot. Oh, this is going to be wonderful, folks. It's already starting to smell delicious. All right, now we're just going to take this little head of organic cabbage, cut the core out of this, and we're just going to shred these up. These don't need to be sauteed. These are going to go right in the soup with the diced potatoes. Alrighty, there's our potatoes all diced up in there. And now we're just going to let this simmer for a few hours, because that's what's going to be in our dinner. But first, I'm going to throw in about a teaspoon to a teaspoon and a half, of course, pickling salt, and some pepper. Of course, what would life be without salt and pepper, eh, folks? Well, and in this house, salt, pepper, and garlic. Isn't that a beautiful color? Now, I'm going to change the battery in my camera, clean up my end of the table, and I am going to make dumplings for this. All right, now we are going to make dumplings. Now, I always thought dumplings were these nice, fluffy, floury biscuit type thing, but really it's just another word for noodles. Now honestly, folks, I bought these at the organic market, so I really don't know what kind of mushrooms these are. I know there's 3 kinds, but there's these, and there's these. I don't know what they are, folks. I'm just Bev, okay? But we are going to dice these up, and I'm going to make a filling for dumplings, because what these dumplings are, they're basically just a noodle that is stuffed. So, first and foremost, we're going to cut up the mushrooms, and then we're going to wash them, and then we're going to saute them with some diced onions. All right, we got a little bit of olive oil in our pan here, and we're just going to dump these diced mushrooms and onions in here, and we're going to gently cook them down, because these are going to be the fillings for our dumplings. So we'll let these cook, and we're on to make the dumpling dough. Okay, now we're going to make our dumpling dough. And folks, you're going to laugh yourself silly when you find out how easy this is. It's flour, salt, and water. That's it. That's all. No more. Alright, so I'm just going to make this up into a dough ball. Doughs don't have to be fancy when you're stuffing them with fancy stuff, folks. Now, you can cut these up, but then you're overworking your dough. So I'm going to show you how I make them. Our stuffing isn't quite ready yet, but we're just going to take a little ball, about the size of a chestnut, maybe. Might even be too big. Let's see. Oops. And we're just going to roll it out. These are going to be big dumplings. They're going to be more like a pierogi size. So let's get these all rolled out. And when I have these all rolled out, our mushrooms will be done and we'll be able to stuff them. Okay, let's get our dumplings filled, folks. Now we have our little pockets here, and we have our sauteed mushrooms and onions, and they smell heavenly. So all we're going to do is, these are like a pierogi kind of. We're just going to take a little bit of filling here, and we're just going to water the edge, wet the edge of our noodle dough here. It's a basic noodle dough, but with no egg. And we're just going to pinch, 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 pinch. And there's one. All right, we'll be back when these are all done. Okay, folks, what I've done is I've taken some of the soup, enough for us to have supper, and I've put it in a smaller pot because I'm going to just drop the noodles or the dumplings right in. The rest I'm going to can. And these dumplings are going to be frozen. So we brought the finished soup up to a boil, and we're just going to drop some of our, oh, they're frozen to the plate, mushroom stuffed dumplings into the soup. This is basically a vegetable soup. You know, in the old country, they're famous for, you know, making things stretch. All right, we're going to bring this back up to a boil, and when these puppies float, we will serve up dinner. All right, let me get this dished up. Now you can go ahead and give yourself a dollop of sour cream on that. And we'll be right back with a taste test. All right, Papa's got his sour cream in there. It's really, really hot, honey. Try a bit of the mushroom stuffed. There it is, folks. Borscht with mushroom and onion dumplings and sour cream. This is the Mrs. Wolfie from our half-acre homestead saying, you know, at this time of year, weather's cold, vegetables are in grand supply. Why not make borscht? Bye.